Part 1. The stars were quiet that night. Not the kind of quiet that meant peace, but the heavy silence that comes after a scream has been swallowed by the void. Far beyond the broken rings of what used to be Saturn, hidden in the cold shadow of a dead moon, a fleet waited. Not a single light blinked on their hulls. No comms chatter. No engine hum. Just stillness, like a predator holding its breath. At the heart of that fleet floated the Aegis, humanity's last great warship. It wasn't the biggest ship ever built, but it was the toughest. Its armor was scarred from 100 skirmishes, its corridors lined with the ghosts of those who never made it home. And on its bridge stood Cole Briggs. He was tall, with short gray hair and eyes that had seen too much fire. He wore a plain black uniform, no medals, no rank pins, just a small patch on his sleeve with the old Earth symbol. A blue circle with green swirls. Most people in the galaxy didn't even know what it meant anymore, but Cole remembered. It had been 147 years since the Krell came. They didn't warn anyone. They didn't ask for surrender. They just appeared over Earth one morning and started burning cities. Billions died in the first week. Mars fell next. Then the colonies on Titan, Europa, even the deep space habitats near Pluto. The Krell called it cleansing. The rest of the galaxy called it none of their business. The Galactic conquered, the council of alien species that ruled the stars, watched, debated, and did nothing. By the time they issued a mild statement of concern, Earth was already a cinder. Humanity didn't vanish, though. Some escaped. They fled into the dark, hiding in asteroid belts, drifting in cryopods, rebuilding in secret. For generations they worked in silence. They mined ice from comets, forged steel from wrecked ships, and taught their children how to fight before they learned how to read. They never forgot, and they never forgave. Now they were ready. Cole turned from the viewport. "Status," he said, his voice low but clear. "Fleet is go, sir," replied Lena Porter from the comm station. She was young, only 28, but sharp. Her dark hair was pulled back, and her fingers danced over the console like she was playing piano. She'd grown up on Ceres, never seen Earth, but she knew its songs, its stories, its pain. She was the best linguist in the fleet, fluent in 7 alien tongues and able to spot a lie in a single syllable. "All ships report weapons hot, shields charged, and jump drives stable," she added. "We're locked on the Celestial Spire. Ready when you are." Cole nodded. The Celestial Spire was the seat of the Galactic Concord, a towering structure of crystal and light, floating in neutral space where dozens of species met to argue, trade, and pretend they kept the peace. And where the Krell sat as honored members, their war crimes buried under layers of diplomacy and bribes. "We're not going there to talk," Cole said. "We're going there to remind them what happens when you let monsters sit at your table." He walked to the center of the bridge. Every eye followed him. These weren't just soldiers, they were survivors. Farmers' sons who learned to pilot fighters, teachers who now handled plasma cannons, grandmothers who could recalibrate a warp core blindfolded. They'd all lost someone. And they'd all waited for this day. "Commander Briggs," Lena said quietly, "I intercepted a Concord broadcast an hour ago. The Krell delegate gave a speech yesterday. Called Earth a necessary correction. Said humanity was too violent to be trusted with starflight." The Concord didn't challenge him. Not one word. Cole's jaw tightened. He'd expected it, hoped otherwise, but expected it. Then today, he said, they'll learn what real violence looks like. He turned to the helm. "Plot the jump. Full fleet. Emergence point. 10,000 kilometers from the Spire's outer perimeter. No warnings. No signals. Just show up." "Aye, sir," came the reply. The bridge lights dimmed to red. A low thrum filled the air as the Aegis's core powered up. Outside, across the silent fleet, lights flickered to life. Not bright, just enough to see the shape of humanity's return. 112 ships. Not many compared to the vast armadas of the conquered species, but every one of them was built for one purpose: vengeance. Lena pulled up a star map on her screen. The spire glowed in the center, surrounded by the emblems of its member races: the 6-armed Zorathi, the glowing Luminary, the stone-skinned Mir. And there, bold and unashamed, the jagged red sigil of the Krell Dominion. She swallowed hard. "They won't expect us," she said. "No one's heard from humanity in over a century. They think we're extinct." "Good," Cole said. "Let them believe the ghosts are real." He stepped back to the viewport. The stars stretched endlessly before him. Somewhere out there was the grave of his wife and daughter, buried under the glassed plains of what used to be Colorado. He hadn't cried in decades. Tears were a luxury survivors couldn't afford. But tonight his chest ached like it did the day he watched Earth burn from the escape pod. "Tell the fleet," he said. "This isn't about revenge. It's about truth." They ignored our screams. Now they'll hear our silence and fear it. Lena keyed the fleet-wide channel. Her voice, calm but firm, echoed across every ship. "All vessels, prepare for jump. Destination Celestial Spire, mission deliver justice. Godspeed, brothers and sisters." A chorus of acknowledgments came back, short, steady, resolute. Then with a flash of blue light that split the darkness like lightning, the Terran Armada vanished. They reappeared an hour later at the edge of conquered space. The spire loomed ahead, beautiful and alien, its spires catching the light of a distant sun. Patrol drones buzzed around it like nervous insects. Trade ships drifted in and out. Life went on as if nothing had ever been broken. But now 100 human warships hung in the void, silent and still. No one hailed them. No alarm sounded. For a long moment the galaxy held its breath. Then, from the spire's command center, a confused voice crackled over open frequency. "Unidentified fleet. Identify yourselves immediately." Cole didn't answer. He just stood there watching. Let them wonder. Let them remember. Let them fear the day humanity came back. Not as beggars, not as refugees, but as the reckoning they'd ignored for far too long. Part 2 of the Terran Armada hung in space like a storm cloud that refused to break. No weapons fired. No engines roared. Just a wall of dark metal and cold silence, pressing against the edge of the Concorde's neutral zone. Inside the Celestial Spire, panic spread faster than fire through dry grass. Ambassador Vex of the Zarathi paced the observation deck, his 6 limbs twitching with agitation. His voice buzzed through the comms like angry hornets. "They are humans. The species the Krell wiped out. They should not exist. This is a trick, or a ghost fleet. Scan them again." But the scans were clear. Life signs. Power readings. Real ships, real people. And they were not leaving. Down in the main chamber, Speaker Orlin of the Mirror stood motionless, his crystalline body catching the soft light of the spire. He had lived 3,000 years. He had seen empires rise and fall, wars ignite over a single word, peace bought with rivers of blood. But this quiet arrival of a dead species sent a chill through his ancient core. He remembered the reports from long ago. Earth's final transmission. Screams cut short. Silence after. The Conquered had voted not to intervene. Too risky, too messy. The Krell were powerful. Humanity was weak. That was the logic. Now the weak had returned with teeth. On the bridge of the Aegis, Cole Briggs watched the spire's lights flicker as alien ships scrambled into defensive positions. He didn't flinch. "They're scared," he said. "Good." Lena Porter monitored the chatter bleeding through open channels. "The Luminari are calling for calm. The Varel scouts are backing away. But the Krell, they're moving warships into the outer ring. They know it's us," Cole nodded. "Let them sweat." He turned to his second-in-command, a broad-shouldered man named Dale Ruiz. "Keep the fleet tight. No sudden moves. We're not here to start a war today unless they force our hand." Dale gave a sharp nod. "Understood, sir. But if they fire?" "We answer with fire," Cole finished. "But not before." Hours passed. The spire buzzed with emergency meetings. Species that hadn't spoken in decades exchanged urgent messages. Some demanded the humans be destroyed on sight. Others whispered that maybe, just maybe, the Conquered had made a terrible mistake all those years ago. Then, a small Krell patrol vessel, sleek, black, and bristling with weapons, detached from the main fleet. It drifted toward the human line, broadcasting on all frequencies. "This is Krell Patrol 7. You are trespassing in sovereign Concord space. Identify yourselves or be destroyed." Cole didn't respond. He just watched. The Krell ship slowed, then veered sharply toward a lone human shuttle that had drifted slightly ahead, a medical transport carrying wounded from a recent skirmish near Neptune. It was unarmed, marked with a white cross on its hull. "Sir," Lena said, her voice tight, "that's the Mercy. They've got 12 civilians on board, mostly kids." Before Cole could speak, the Krell ship fired. A single plasma bolt struck the shuttle's engine block. The explosion was small but brutal. The Mercy spun wildly, breaking apart. Debris scattered like ash in the wind. No escape pods launched. No signals. Just silence where voices had been. On the bridge of the Aegis, every officer froze. Lena's hands trembled over her console. Dale's knuckles turned white on the railing. Cole didn't shout. He didn't curse. He just turned slowly and looked at his crew, his eyes burning with something older than anger. That, he said, was their choice. He walked to the command chair and sat. His voice was calm, but it carried the weight of a collapsing star. All ships form the Vengeance line, shields up, weapons hot, helm. Bring us to 1,000 kilometers from the Spire's main gate. We go in hot, but we do not fire unless fired upon. Not yet. Orders rippled through the fleet. Engines hummed to life. The wall of ships began to move, not as a mob, but as one body. Precise, relentless, like a tide that could not be stopped. Inside the Spire, chaos erupted. The Krell delegate, Warlord Cathar, stormed into the main chamber, his armored frame towering over the others. They are aggressors. They attacked first. We must purge them now. Speaker Orlan raised a hand. The shuttle was unarmed. Your ship fired without warning. It was a human trap, Cathar snarled. They always use weakness as bait. But the Luminari ambassador, her skin glowing faintly blue, spoke softly. We saw the footage. Your ship chose its target. There was no threat, murmurs spread. Doubt crept in. Even among Krell allies, eyes shifted away. Back on the Aegis, Lena pulled up the last transmission from the Mercy. A child's voice cut off mid-sentence. She played it once, then deleted it. She couldn't bear to hear it again. They did that on purpose, she said, to provoke us. Maybe, Cole replied. Or maybe they just can't help themselves. Monsters don't change. They only get bolder when no one stops them. The fleet reached its position. The Aegis hovered directly before the Spire's grand entrance, a shimmering arch of light and energy. Below, thousands of aliens watched from observation decks, their faces a mix of fear and awe. Then, Cole stood. I'm going in. Lena turned. Alone? Sir, that's suicide. No, he said. It's theater. They think we're animals. Let them see a human walk into their den without a weapon. Let them wonder why we're not afraid. He removed his sidearm and left it on the console. He straightened his uniform. Keep the fleet ready. If I don't come back in 2 hours, assume the worst. And make them pay. Dale stepped forward. We'll be waiting, sir. Cole took a shuttle, small, plain, no markings. It drifted toward the Spire like a leaf on a calm river. No escort, no threats. Just one man in a black uniform, heading into the heart of the galaxy's power. As the shuttle docked, alarms blared inside the Spire. Security teams swarmed the bay, weapons raised. But Cole stepped out slowly, hands visible, eyes steady. He didn't speak. He just walked. Guards flanked him, prodding him with energy staves, scanning him for weapons. He let them. When they reached the main chamber, the doors hissed open, and every alien in the room fell silent. There he stood, tall, tired human, surrounded by beings of light, crystal, chitin, and scale. And at the far end of the hall, Warlord Cathar glared like a wolf spotting prey. Speaker Orlan rose. State your name and purpose. Cole didn't bow. He didn't salute. He just looked at them all and said, My name is Cole Briggs. I speak for humanity. And we are here because you let our world burn. A murmur rose. Some species leaned forward. Others recoiled. Cathar laughed, a harsh, grating sound. The last dog of a dead race barks in our hall. How pathetic. Cole didn't look at him. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small data crystal. I didn't come to bark, he said. I came to show you what you ignored. He tossed the crystal to the floor. It activated on impact. A hologram filled the chamber. Earth, blue and green, spinning peacefully. Then fire, cities melting, oceans boiling, children running as the sky turned red. The Krell fleet, black and endless, raining death without mercy. Gasps echoed. Some aliens turned away. Others stared, horrified. This, Cole said, his voice quiet but cutting through the noise, is what you called none of your business. He stood there alone as the truth burned in the air. And for the first time in over a century, the galaxy saw humanity not as a memory, but as a reckoning standing right before them. Short 3. The hologram faded, but the silence it left behind was heavier than any explosion. In the council chamber, no one moved. The image of Earth's final hours still burned in their eyes. Cities crumbling, skies choked with ash, the desperate cries of a species abandoned. Cole Briggs stood in the center of it all, unmoved, his hands at his sides, his face calm but his eyes sharp as flint. Warlord Cathar was the first to break the stillness. He slammed a clawed fist on the arm of his seat. Lies, old footage, edited, stolen from our archives and twisted. His voice boomed, meant to shake doubt into the room. Humans are clever with tricks. They always were. A few of the smaller delegates shifted nervously. The Zarathi ambassador clicked his mandibles in agreement. But others, the Luminari, the Virel, even some of the mere elders, did not look away. They had seen too much in those images. The angles were wrong for Krell records. The lighting matched civilian sky cams, not military sensors. And the screams. Those were not faked. Then Lena Porter stepped forward. She had not been invited. She had not been announced. But when the Spire's security tried to stop her at the chamber doors, she simply held up a Concord clearance chip, one she'd forged from old human intelligence files, and walked in like she belonged. Her steps were quiet but sure. She wore a simple gray jumpsuit, no armor, no weapon, just a datapad in her hands. "I can prove it's real," she said, her voice clear and steady. All eyes turned to her. Even Cathar narrowed his eyes, confused by this young human woman who dared speak in the council's sacred hall. Cole didn't smile, but something in his posture softened. He had not expected her to come. But he was not surprised. Lena walked to the center of the chamber and placed her datapad on the floor beside the fading projection point. She tapped a command. A new hologram appeared, not of destruction but of language. Streams of symbols, sounds, waveforms layered over the original footage. "This is Earth standard spoken during the attack," she explained. But hidden inside the audio at a frequency most species can't hear are linguistic markers, timestamps, location tags, emotional stress patterns unique to native speakers under trauma. She pointed to a flickering waveform. "See this spike? It matches the exact moment a school in New Delhi was hit. The voice belongs to a teacher trying to shield her students. We recovered her last transmission from a buried satellite cache." She turned to the Mir speaker. "Your species records history in crystal resonance. Ours was recorded in voices. And those voices don't lie." Orlan stepped down from his dais. His crystalline form shimmered as he approached. "Show me." Lena nodded and played a short clip, a woman's voice, calm at first, then breaking. "If anyone hears this, tell them we didn't run. Tell them we loved our home." Then static. Then the sound of glass shattering as the sky fell. Orlan placed a hand on the hologram. His eyes, deep and ancient, seemed to glow. "This is truth," he said softly. "Not propaganda. Not memory. Truth." Murmurs spread through the chamber. The Krell began shouting, demanding the feed be cut. But the Luminari ambassador raised her hand, and her people's ships outside dimmed their weapons. A sign of trust, Cathar stood, his armor clanking. "This changes nothing." The Krell acted to preserve galactic order. Humanity was unstable, violent, you all know it. "No," Lena said, turning to face him directly. "We were defenseless. And you knew it. That's why you chose us." She tapped her pad again. This time a new file opened. Conquered internal logs, financial trails, encrypted messages between Krell officials and a shadow committee inside the council itself. Credits flowing from Krell trade accounts to private vaults owned by Zarathi and Mir officials. Approvals stamped on reports that downplayed Earth's destruction. Phrases like acceptable loss and species correction circled in red. The room went colder than deep space. Speaker Orlan turned slowly to the Zarathi ambassador. "Did you know?" The Zarathi clicked rapidly, his limbs trembling. I only saw summaries. I thought it was routine." "You took their money," Lena said flatly. "While our children burned, shame spread like a stain. Some delegates looked at their feet. Others stared at the Krell with new eyes. The myth of Krell honor cracked open, revealing greed and cruelty beneath. Cole finally spoke again. "We didn't come here for revenge today. We came for justice. Punish the Krell, expose the lies, or we leave and next time we won't ask." He turned to go, but Orlan raised a hand. "Wait, the council must deliberate. This cannot be decided in a moment." "Then decide fast," Cole said, "because out there my fleet is holding back, and they've held back long enough." He walked out, Lena at his side. The chamber doors closed behind them, but the storm they left behind raged on. Back on the Aegis, the crew waited in tense silence. When Cole and Lena returned via shuttle, Dale met them at the airlock. Krell fleet just moved into high orbit. They're forming a battle line, Cole nodded. They think we'll attack first. They want an excuse. They won't get one from us, Lena said. Not yet. On the bridge, Cole watched the Krell ships shift and glow with charging weapons. But he also saw something else, Varel scouts moving to flank them. Luminary cruisers powering up shields, not weapons. Even a few mere defense drones drifting toward human positions as if offering cover. The galaxy was choosing sides. Lena pulled up a new signal. Sir, the council just called an emergency session. Full vote on Krell sanctions, Cole exhaled. Then we wait. But not for long. Outside, the stars held their breath. The spire glowed like a jewel wrapped in thunder. And humanity, once forgotten, now stood at the center of fate. Not with guns drawn, but with truth in their hands and fire in their hearts. The Krell had thought silence meant weakness. They were about to learn how wrong they were. A fear. The emergency session lasted only 3 hours, but it felt like a lifetime to those waiting in the void. Inside the celestial spire, voices clashed like steel on stone. Outside, the Krell fleet grew bolder, drifting closer to the human line, their weapons humming with charged plasma. They wanted a fight. They believed the conquered would side with them as it always had. They were wrong. The vote passed by the narrowest of margins, 23 in favor of sanctions, 21 against, and 4 abstentions. The Krell were stripped of their council seat, their trade privileges frozen, their warships ordered to stand down. It was not exile, not execution, but it was shame. And for a species that fed on pride, shame was worse than death. Warlord Cathar did not wait for the gavel to fall. He stormed out of the chamber, his armor scraping the floor, and sent a single command from his wrist comm. Across the Krell fleet, engines roared to life. Weapons locked. Shields flared crimson. They're going to attack the spire, Lena said, her voice tight as she read the incoming data. They think if they destroy the council, they can blame us. Start a war that wipes us out and silences the truth. Cole stood at the viewport, arms crossed. They're desperate. Good. Desperate enemies make mistakes. He turned to Dale. Signal the Viral and Luminari. Tell them the Krell are moving. Ask if they're with us or in our way. Minutes later, replies came. Not through official channels, but on old resistance frequencies, the kind used by smugglers and rebels. The Viral commander, a grizzled veteran named Tael, sent a simple message. We remember what the Krell did to our homeworld. We stand with you. The Luminary sent light pulses in a pattern that meant shield wall ready. Humanity was no longer alone. But Cole knew the real danger wasn't just the Krell fleet. It was the weapon hidden in his own ship's core, the Resonance Lance. Built from stolen Krell tech and human ingenuity, it could send a pulse through subspace that would fry every Krell ship within 10 light years. But the pulse would also ripple through nearby stars, destabilizing them. Planets could be scorched, innocent systems lost. Cole had sworn he'd never use it, but he'd also sworn he'd never let Earth's fate repeat. Lena found him in the weapons bay, staring at the Lance's containment field. You're not thinking of using it, she said. I'm thinking of what I have to do, he replied. You'd kill millions to stop them. And they killed billions without blinking, he said. But his voice cracked. But no, I won't fire it, not unless they leave me no choice. She nodded, relieved but not convinced. There's more. I dug deeper into the Concord logs. The money trail. It leads to a secret group inside the council. They called themselves the Balance Keepers. They let the Krell destroy Earth because they thought humanity was too emotional, too unpredictable. They wanted a galaxy without passion. Without fire, Cole laughed, but there was no joy in it. So they traded our world for calm. Cowards. He walked back to the bridge. The Krell fleet was forming a wedge, aiming straight for the spire's main spire, the heart of the Concord. If they hit it, the structure would collapse, taking thousands of lives and shattering the fragile unity of the galaxy. Time to move, Cole said. All ships form Delta Shield. Varel on our left flank, Luminari on the right. We hold the line. The Terran Armada shifted like a single organism. Human ships locked shields with alien ones, forming a wall of light and steel between the Krell and the spire. It was a sight no one in the galaxy had ever seen. Former enemies, now allies, standing together. The Krell opened fire. Plasma bolts screamed through space. Explosions bloomed like angry flowers. A human frigate took a direct hit and spun away, dark and broken. But the line held. The luminary shields absorbed the worst of it. The Varel fighters darted in and out, slicing Krell engines with precision strikes. Cole watched the battle unfold, calm but focused. Target their command ship. Ignore the rest. Aye, sir, Dale said, relaying the order. The Aegis turned, its main cannons glowing white-hot. It fired not once but in a rhythm, 3 shots spaced just right. The first shot shattered the Krell shields. The second blew out their starboard thrusters. The third struck the bridge. Cathar's ship listed hard, smoke pouring from its hull. But it didn't stop. Instead, it accelerated, straight at the Aegis. He's ramming us, Lena shouted. Brace, Cole ordered. The impact shook the ship like a hammer on an anvil. Alarms blared. Lights flickered. But the Aegis held. Its reinforced prow had pierced the Krell vessel like a spear. Fires raged inside both ships. On the view screen, Cathar appeared on an open channel, his face burned, one eye gone. You think this changes anything, human? You are still alone. Still weak? Cole leaned toward the screen. No. We were alone when you burned our world. Today we have friends, and you? You have nothing but your pride, and it's burning with you. He cut the feed, then gave the order. Boarding teams secure their core. I want their logs, their orders, everything. As human Marines in black armor jumped across the void into the dying Krell ship, the rest of the Krell fleet faltered. Without their warlord, without their command, they scattered. Some surrendered. Others fled into the dark. The battle was over. Back on the spire, Speaker Orlan addressed the shaken council. Today we were saved not by power, but by courage. And by truth, he turned to the empty Krell seat. Let this be a lesson. No species is above justice. Later, alone on the bridge, Cole looked at Earth's coordinates on his screen. He didn't speak. He just let the silence sit with him. Lena came beside him. What now? Now, he said, we make sure no one ever forgets what happened here. Not the Krell's cruelty, not the Concord's silence, and not humanity's return. Outside, the stars watched, and for the first time in centuries they saw hope, not in peace but in the promise that someone would stand up when the galaxy looked away. Part 5. The smoke from the battle still drifted in space like ghostly threads when the Concorde sent its offer. A permanent seat on the council, full membership, equal voice, honors, titles, a place among the stars at last. They sent the message on a golden data wafer, wrapped in light and sealed with the speaker's mark. It arrived on the Aegis bridge while Cole Briggs was watching the Krell prisoners being loaded onto transport ships. He held the wafer in his hand for a long time, then handed it to Lena without a word. She read it, then looked up. They're serious. I know, he said. They're giving us everything we lost. No, he replied. They're giving us a chair. We don't need chairs. We need a shield. He walked to the comm station and opened a channel, not to the Spire, but to every ship in the Terran Armada, and to the Viral, the Luminari, the quiet Mir observers, even the few Zerathi who had switched sides in the final hour. His voice was calm, but it carried across the void like a drumbeat. Today we stood together, he began, not because we share blood or language or history, but because we believe some things are worth protecting. The weak, the voiceless, the ones who can't fight back, he paused. Stars glittered behind him through the viewport. The Krell thought power meant the right to destroy. The Conquered thought peace meant looking away. We know better. Power means responsibility. Peace means standing guard. Then he made his offer. Not for humanity alone, but for all who agreed, a new pact. Not a government. Not an empire. Just a promise. The Vigil Pact. A coalition of ships, species, and souls who would answer when the innocent called. No politics, no profit. Just protection. To his surprise, the replies came fast. The Viral commander Tal was first. We join. The Luminari sent a pulse of blue light, yes. Even a mere elder speaking through Speaker Orlan said, The crystals remember your courage. We will stand with you. Only the Krell remained silent, locked in their shame. Back inside the Spire, the Council watched the broadcasts with awe and unease. They had expected humanity to demand revenge or power or territory. Instead, they offered duty. It confused them. It humbled them. And for some, it scared them, because it meant the galaxy would no longer be ruled by the strongest but guarded by the willing. Cole turned down the council seat. Politely but firmly. We don't want to sit at your table, he told Orlan over a private channel. We want to make sure no one ever knocks over the chairs again. The old Mir nodded slowly. Then you are not conquerors. You are guardians. Yes, Cole said. We are. In the days that followed, the Terran Armada began to disperse, not in retreat but in purpose. Some ships stayed near the spire to help rebuild trust. Others headed to the outer rim, where rumors spoke of Krell holdouts still raiding colonies. A few, like the Aegis, prepared for a longer journey. Lena stood with Cole on the observation deck as the spire shrank behind them. Where are we going? Home, he said. Earth? He nodded. Not to live. Not yet, but to remember. To plant a flag. To say we came back, she smiled faintly. They'll write songs about this. Let them, he said. But only if they teach the truth with it. As the Aegis turned toward the Sol system, the fleet behind it split into smaller groups, each assigned to a sector of space. No grand fleet. No central command. Just ships watching, waiting, ready. The Vigil Pact had no capital, no throne, no laws. Only a single rule. When the weak cry out, someone answers. News of the pact spread fast. On backwater worlds and hidden colonies among species long ignored by the Concord, hope flickered to life. Refugees whispered the name human not with fear but with gratitude. Children drew pictures of black ships with blue circles on their sides. Old enemies began to talk. Trade routes opened. The galaxy, for the first time in centuries, felt less like a court and more like a community. And through it all, humanity stayed quiet. They didn't boast. They didn't demand thanks. They simply did what needed doing. Months later, on the cracked plains of Earth, Cole stood alone near the ruins of Denver. The wind howled through broken skyscrapers. The ground was still warm in places, glassy from the old fires. He placed a small stone on a pile others had left, memorials from survivors who had returned in secret over the years. On the stone he carved two names, his wife's and his daughter's. He didn't speak. He just stood there, letting the silence hold him. Then his comm beeped. It was Lena from orbit. Sir, we've got a signal. From the Epsilon system, a farming colony. They're under attack by raiders, ex-Krell mercenaries. Cole took a deep breath. The past was here. The future was calling. I'm on my way, he said. He walked back to the shuttle, his boots crunching on ash and memory. Behind him, Earth slept. Ahead, the stars waited. Humanity had arrived at the Galaxy Council with vengeance. But they left with something greater, purpose. And in the endless dark, that purpose burned brighter than any weapon, any throne, any lie. They were not the galaxy's rulers. They were its watchmen, and as long as one human ship flew, no one would suffer in silence again.